Program are those of the hosts and guests and not necessarily those of the staff or management of KLAV.
The sport of radio control racing has swept the nation, and Vegas RC Raceway is proud to present the first radio show in the nation to cover this rapidly growing sensation. So, without further delay, your hosts Eric Flynn and the Big Shane bring you Radio Control Race Chats.
Hey there, I'm Eric.
And I'm the Big Shane.
And this is RC Race Chat. Before we get started here, remember you can call in with questions at 702-731-1230. You can also stream us live on the Vegas RC Raceway website, which is the VRCR.com. We have a pretty exciting show today, huh, Shane?
Yes.
Got lots going on. Proline today.
Daniel Adams from
That's
Proline.
right, Daniel Adams from Proline. But before we get going on with him in the next few minutes, let's get right into Shane and his conkers at the JBRL.
Oh, my conkers are far and few in between. But this last weekend, I did take first place with the e-buggy with my Mugen Eco. I put that thing on the podium.
And that's your
weekend.
that's your electric 8-scale buggy.
The electric 8-scale buggy. And I finally broke Travis Gomescua's winning streak. He was undefeated up until last weekend.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was good.
Now, how did you qualify? You got there, did you get a lot of practice in?
No, I didn't get a lot of practice, and usually I'm there the day before, and this time I didn't get that opportunity to spend a day of practice on the track, and I just showed up in the morning, and then I probably only got maybe 10 minutes total track time on the track, and I got it down pretty fast. It seemed like probably like the third or fourth lap I was on it, I seemed to pick up my race pace. And my lap times were very, very good for this weekend, better than normal, I would say.
Now that's pretty awesome. Now you also raced the Nitro Truggy and Nitro 8-scale buggy as well.
Yeah.
And how did those go?
They went okay. My buggy, not so good. It's always tough in that class for me. I don't know why. It's just I struggle with it a lot. And then I haven't been really putting forth a whole lot of effort with that car in particular. It's so hard to run 3 different classes at a one-day race.
Right.
And I mean, it's just it's everything's on top of one another. And then when I'm there with other people, with Scott Mango from Cichlids and then Don Shea, he was there helping us out. He's our buddy.
Right.
And without us as a team working with each other and helping each other out, we would never be able to get it done. I could not do nitro racing on my own at all. You always have to have somebody you trust as a pit man. And you have to rely on them to know what they're doing. If they don't know what they're doing, it's going to hurt you in the end. And these guys were on top of it this weekend for me.
Really helping you out, huh?
Yeah, but back to the buggy thing. Like, I'm not really in contention on the points for the buggy, but I am with the Truggy. I think I'm sitting like 6th with Nitro Truggy. And that's
that's amongst the pros.
Yeah, that's in the expert class. And that's pretty good for my first year running pro. I think. I mean, I don't know. I'm just, the average Joe.
Well, you're
showing
moving up
pro.
fast. Definitely, I've noticed the change. Now, this is something that I've seen just from you being down at the Vegas RC Raceway. Do you think that you're driving down there as much as you are on an indoor track, a little bit smaller than the bigger tracks? Do you think that helps you with the technical driving?
Of course, it helps me. I mean, it makes the bigger tracks seem a lot easier. Now, I do have a problem with, maybe I'm getting old or something, but I have a problem when I go to bigger tracks. I'm so used to driving on a smaller facility, indoor situation, no elements to that arise and stuff happens, no wind and anything like that.
So the atmosphere affects your consistency.
It does affect it a little bit, but then, I mean, it seems like from going all week practicing on an indoor track and then going to the outdoor stuff, I have wider lanes and there's more room for error.
Right. Well, we have 9-foot lanes at the Vegas RC Raceway, and there are some of those lanes are probably 15, 20 feet.
Yeah, I think they're 15 feet.
I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, it's definitely different. And then the last track that we were at was Revelation, and they have like one of the longest straightaways in all of the tracks in Southern California. It's super long. Like you're already pinned.
How many feet would you say it is?
I'm guessing it's close to like 300 feet.
Wow.
Maybe it's not that long, but I know it's over 2 something. Even with the 8 scale, it seemed like that thing was pinned halfway down the straightaway, it was already wide open, and that thing's going like 60 miles an hour.
So you're just in it for a really long time.
Yeah. And every time you go down the straightaway, it seemed like the nitro motor wanted to just grenade.
Wow.
I was scared a couple of times. Every time I go to big straightaways, I don't know, if your tune's not right on that nitro motor, it's gonna
they're finicky.
Grenade, yeah.
Real quick before we move on to our interview with Daniel Adams from Proline here, there is a couple people that I think Shane and I would both like to give shout outs to, and that's the Sin City RC guys.
Yeah, definitely.
I think there might have been a little miscommunication.
Yeah,
on the last show.
I heard a couple rumors saying that I didn't like nitro. I love nitro.
You live for it, bud.
I love it.
First off, I'd get the names out there. Brandon Pitt, John Edmond, these guys, they've always been great supporters of the Vegas RC Raceway. And I want, when we were talking about the nitro tracks, we had said that there wasn't one in Vegas.
Yeah.
And we kind of meant the actual
area
geographical
of Las
area.
Vegas, yeah.
But there is indeed a great facility in Boulder City.
Yeah.
And Brandon Pitt and John Edmond and all those guys out there, Sin City RC, they're the ones heading that up. So you can be sure and check out their website at sincityrc.com, where you can find out all the hottest stuff going on at the nitro track in Vegas. I guess we'll call it from now on,
technically,
for lack of a better word.
Boulder City. But
there we go.
It is in the surrounding areas of
There
Las
you
Vegas.
go. And now that we've got that buttoned up, very special interview, Daniel Adams with Proline. How you doing, Daniel?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Nothing much. What you been up to?
A lot of work.
You're always on the road and always working, Daniel. Every time.
We've been pretty busy, and we got iHobby coming up here in a couple weeks. I've been hammering on some stuff out for that, and then going to be doing some testing in the next couple weeks. So, just working on a bunch of stuff.
Cool. That's really cool. Before we get started with the interview here, just want to get it out to our callers again. If you have anything that you'd like to ask Daniel from Proline here, don't hesitate to call. Again, the number is 702-731-1230, and you can call up, ask him some questions about Proline, anything about him as far as the RC stuff goes. But let's break into this. And Daniel, for those of you that haven't heard of you, I want you to let everyone know who you are and what you do at Proline.
Well, I've started racing back in the early 90s. My first job in the RC industry was actually race director at M&M Hobbies when they were open, so that kind of gives you some background of how long I've been doing this.
That's right. Wow.
At Proline, my main position is kind of team manager, and then I also work in the promotions department, which that entails trade shows, promotional events, race events and stuff like that. So I pretty much wear multiple hats, and just do a bunch of stuff around the shop to try to help out.
Well, that's pretty neat there. It's now being team manager and doing the promotions, you can really set up some great stuff for Proline there and make sure they have an edge over some of the other outfits, huh?
Yeah, it definitely gives me an edge. I get to do the face-to-face with a lot of our customers and a lot of our dealers as well, and I get to understand what their needs are and what we should be providing for them. So I think in the end of the day, it really helps me understand and get a good grasp on what it is that I need to be doing.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I can tell you, just being down at the Vegas RC Raceway, when a customer or a client or whatever you want to call them can come in and speak face to face with the person or the entity that they're dealing with, I think they feel more comfortable. They're more comfortable using your product or your facility or whatever the case may be. And I think that's whenever you go to a big event, you always see the Proline truck there.
I always see Daniel at every big event that I've ever gone to. It's always Daniel or Geraldo. Every single time it seems like Daniel, if you have a question for him, he's on top of it. And he doesn't give you any beef about it either. Like even if you had just a standard newbie question, Daniel's going to be there to help you out no matter what it was. Like me just starting off, I would always hound the Proline tent for tires and questions I had, like what tire am I supposed to run? What am I supposed to do? And Daniel would always be on top of it and tell me what to do.
Now, being seen at a lot of those big events there, Daniel, do you find that you see lots of the same faces, even from the sportsman level guys? Are they coming up to you always asking for the hottest tips?
You do see quite a bit of it, but I've noticed a trend lately. We're starting to see a lot of new racers, and I think that's good for the industry, especially kind of with a short course class now coming in, making everything, I think, a little more affordable for people to get into. It's really nice to see new faces, and there are a lot of regular guys that I see on a regular basis at the race events and stuff, and they don't hesitate to ask me a question. I'm willing to help them whatever they need. So.
Well, that's awesome. That's definitely good to hear.
Daniel, I got a question for you. At what age did you say that you started into RC cars, and what have you progressed into working for the industry leader in racing tires? Like, what
did it take to work for Proline?
What did it take for you to get to the top of where you are now?
I started when I was probably about 12. It just so happens my dad's friend had a Tamiya Fox back in the day, and it kind of progressed from there. We went to the hobby shop, bought a Blackfoot. Me and my brother pretty much put every aftermarket part on there at the time, and it just progressed into buying RC10s and all the cars that you can actually go run and race, you know. And from there, it was kind of a hobby until I turned 15. Then as soon as I turned 15, I went to M&M Hobbies because we lived a couple miles away, and hung out there for about a year racing and talking to people. And it just so happens that the announcer at the time was quitting, so never tried to race announce or anything like that before, and I just jumped right into it and took over their racing program. And from there, I did multiple Reedy races. I did the Nationals. I ran a lot of big races for them, and that kind of transferred into moving into another job. Then I went to work at Low C for a little while when it was actually still Team Low C, owned by the Low C's only. And I worked with a lot of great people there, and then from there I took a little bit of a break, kind of stepped out of the RC industry, worked at Pro Circuit for a little while doing some suspension under brakes, and then I just got back into RC again. I got a job at Sen and worked there for a little while, and it was a long drive for me. It was about an hour and a half each way every day, and I just got tired of driving, and it just so happens I called up Scott at the time when he was still working here, and they had an open position. I came in and got the interview, and I had a job within a couple days.
Well, that's awesome. That's super cool. Just real quick there, you're talking about the announcing at the racing. The first time you announced a race, how nervous were you? Because I can tell you, my first race at the Vegas RC Raceway, I almost swallowed my tongue.
Yeah, I can honestly say it's pretty intimidating because you got a bunch of people standing around looking at the track. You got all the guys on the driver's stand looking at you. And like I said, at the time I was only 15, you know what I mean? I barely knew how to use the computer system and all that stuff. And, it was pretty intimidating, but I got to say, like, the first big intimidating race I did was our Endless Summer Classic that we used to have back in the day. And, you're talking, I think, 350 entries or something like that.
That's a lot of people to announce for.
Yeah, I think that was, like, the big part where it set in, like, holy cow, I'm doing this in front of a lot of people. I better not mess up.
Yeah, you don't want to call out the wrong name that's in the lead or something like that, or call out the wrong traffic.
Once you get used to it, it's not that big a deal. But when you first start, you think it's the end of the world.
Well, it's kind of like this radio show. Like it's different for us because we're sitting in a studio and we have a sound man. But it's just me and Eric. But still, when we know that we're live on the air, it becomes very nerve-wracking, very frustrating, and sometimes our words get caught up and we don't know what to say right away. It's different.
It just starts flowing out.
We don't have a big, huge audience in front of us, but we know that we do have an audience listening, and it makes for a nerve-wracking experience, but it's fun. We love it.
Now, moving on here, just kind of talking about racing in the old days and then, progress now to what you do. How have the race tires changed from when you first got into racing? I know I was racing back, when Cactus Classic was fairly new, the Reedy race, and some of the tires back then, they looked like something out of a Mad Max movie. And now they're real sleek. They're purpose built. How have they changed?
Back in the day, we were pretty limited on what we had as far as availability. There wasn't too much playing around with compounds and stuff like that back then. Everybody kind of found a tire that worked, and they more or less stuck with it. And over the years, people found out that the softer rubber was better, and different inserts were better. Back then we ran big knobbies almost at every track, and it's progressed a lot into these premium rubber, nice profile, super advanced designs, and it's really come a long way, just in terms of the actual rubber compounds, the inserts we're using, the variations of wheels you can use now that are softer or harder, and it's been a drastic change over the years that I've watched it.
Now, when I first started racing, I tried racking my memory before this interview, and I don't recall there being foams in the tires. Was there always a foam in the tire, or am I losing my mind?
No, a long time ago, where some of us come from that era, we didn't actually use any inserts in the tires. So the tire itself was actually such a hard rubber, you really didn't need it because
it was like a solid
really collapse
rubber.
Very much.
Yeah.
and the carcass on them was super thick, and there wasn't really a need for an insert, and maybe not necessarily the need. Maybe we just didn't know what it needed at that time. You know what I mean? Everything was what it was. Back then the tracks were a little bit looser, and everybody ran on kind of the looser dirt. So the way they build the tracks now have definitely changed too, which affects the way that the tires are designed and everything.
Yeah, definitely bigger jumps out there, bigger ruts and stuff, more power in these cars, and they're gonna make a difference.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I was watching a Kinwald race. It might have actually been from Eminem, and he was racing. What's the other feller that he always battled with? Hirsami or whatever.
Masami Hirosaka.
Yes, one of those. And I'm watching these cars, and the track, it when you look at the way they're prepared now to this track, and it was a premier track in its time, I think. It's just amazing the difference.
It probably had loose rocks.
Yeah,
everywhere.
there was marble on the outfield.
It doesn't get that way anymore.
It was really, really different. So it's interesting to see how the tire industry has evolved with the track industry. Yeah, but I know Shane has another question for you here.
Yeah, how does a new tire come into existence, and how are tread patterns chosen?
A new tire kind of comes into existence. You look at the track, you look at kind of, the variations of the surfaces you have to work with. We're fortunate enough here to have a great team of R&D guys, and they're all in the industry. They all run cars, so they all have a general knowledge of what the tire needs to do and what should work, for the best conditions. So really it comes down to just kind of playing with designs. Have a couple guys messing around with different tread patterns, looking at stuff, doing different layers or whatnot, and then it sometimes it just comes to you, and then other times you kind of revert back to what you've done in the past, whether it be a square lug or a round lug or whatnot, and it's definitely some trial and error involved over the years, and but in the end, you get a good product. It's very time consuming, and you definitely have to put the effort into it, and then you'll get the results in the end.
Yeah. Now on those designs of the tires, is it mainly come from the Proline drivers that gives you the input on those, or is it more like Todd and everyone else, the owners of Todd and Tim and everybody? Does that?
Where does the inspiration come for the tire?
It comes from the driver, correct?
The inspiration, a lot of times, it does come from our drivers. We're fortunate to have a great group of quality drivers, some of the world's best.
Yeah, I definitely know that Proline is on the top of the map with that. Cav, there's a whole list of people that I could just name off right now. Ty Tessman is one of the biggest ones right now. I know that. After watching him for the past couple races, that kid is on fire.
Yeah, we're fortunate enough. Actually, Ty is going to be staying with us for a couple months right now too, and he's going to be working here at Proline to help us, just test some new stuff and come up with some new ideas or whatnot. So we're really blessed to have him here, and he's at the IIC race actually right there near you guys in Vegas right now, and but he'll be heading back here next week to we're going to go out and test some stuff and work on some new projects, and Cavallari, Saxton, Rodriguez, like all these guys put in a lot of effort, and in the end of the day, that's where some of our design concepts, obviously come from, and it's a collaboration between us, and our drivers, and obviously what our customers are asking for too.
Definitely.
Customers definitely play a big part in, us saying, hey, I need a bigger lug, or hey, I want a smaller lug, I want a softer compound, harder compound, and we take all of it into one pot, and then and put it all together and see what we can come up with.
Cool.
Now, just sticking on to this question real quick. I don't even know if this can be said, but you're talking about the design of the new tires. When one of your team drivers or yourself is using a tire and it's not quite right for the situation, and you think, well, hey, maybe we should work on something new for this. Does it start with you guys maybe cutting some tread off of an existing tire, or do the people that manufacture just send you a tire like per your specifications? Hey, give me something with lateral bars and checkers. Is that what happens, or do you start by cutting to see if that works and then kind of move on from there?
Yeah. There's a couple of different ways you can go about testing stuff, and cutting and gluing and kind of making your own mock-ups is part of the process. And the molds obviously are expensive, so you want to try to make sure you understand what what you're working with and the concept of it, and make sure you're heading in the right direction before you actually invest into the project. And there's definitely a lot of cutting and gluing involved, and we're fortunate enough that in the modern age you can have prototyping stuff done and stuff like that. I can't go into a lot of details about that, but there are ways to get stuff done and be able to have at least a usable sample to get a general idea if it's going to work or not.
Yeah, I've definitely seen people like cut tires in half, put some different tread in the middle, and super glue it all together and hope it holds together. And sometimes that's the best thing for some tracks. I mean, especially before when there wasn't a whole lot of options out there, I know that was happening a lot. People cutting stuff in half, and you're taking a new set of tires and chopping them up. Yeah, it's funny. And then I've seen, people take even the newer stuff, they'll take like a set of hole shots and maybe cut out the center lugs of them or something like that, just to try to make it better for their driving style or whatever. And I don't like to cut tires. I like to keep them new and fresh.
Real quick before we move on here, we got a caller. Kevin, you're on the air. What's going on?
Not a whole lot. How are you guys?
Very well, thank you. What's going on?
I have a question for the Proline guy about belting tires.
Okay, go ahead.
And what I mean by belting is some guys have said that they take duct tape or packing tape on the inside of the tire so the tire doesn't balloon as much. Is that fact or fiction?
Yeah, it actually has been used quite a few times by a lot of our customers, and they actually use the strapping tape that has the fiber embedded in it. It actually helps and keeps the tire from overexpanding. And we are actually in the process of looking into possibly being able in the future to add ribs and belting inside the tires. But yeah, we have had a lot of guys that have had success with using the duct tape and the fiber tape to help keep the tire expanding at high speeds. You got some of these super brushless systems now where the cars are doing 80 miles an hour, and yeah, you definitely need a little extra support in the tires.
Okay, very good.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Kevin. Appreciate that. And before we move on here, again, like Kevin, if you have a question, don't hesitate to call in and ask Daniel here from Proline. The number is 702-731-1230. And if you're getting ready to get out of your car, can't finish listening to the show, you can catch it on your computer, stream us live at the Vegas RC Raceway website, which is the VRCR.com. You can also pick us up on iTunes. Moving on with the interview here.
I've also seen us on YouTube now.
That's right. We are on YouTube.
We're on YouTube. And it's not much of a show on YouTube, but you can hear the whole entire show in its entirety.
You can indeed.
On YouTube.
That's right, on YouTube.
And that's I believe it's the
RC area.
Yeah.
It's rc-area.co.uk, and it's an information site like NeoBuggy, and they've been very, very gracious in Kevin over there following us and helping everyone out.
And RC Insider last week they put us on there. I think they put all of our shows on the front page.
That's right on the front page.
Yeah,
That's wonderful.
So
we're moving on up.
If you go back maybe a page or two, and you can see all of our shows, our previous shows, on RC Insider.
That's right. So there's no reason to miss even a portion of our wonderful RC race chat.
Awesome.
Now, moving on with the interview here, Daniel, moving on kind of with the same kind of question. How long are these tires tested before they make it to general public?
It varies. Sometimes you hit one out of the ballpark right away, and it's going to be a really good tire, and it's going to work and very well and fit the function. And then there's other times where you might struggle a little bit, with the basic design, and you have to go out and test multiple times and try a couple different variations. Maybe it be the width of the tire or the diameter or whatnot. So there's no exact science to it. Sometimes, like I said, right off the bat you'll have a winner, and then sometimes you got to work a little bit at it. But at the end of the day, you make sure you put your full effort into it, and you come out with a quality tire, and it makes everybody happy.
Wow, that's it's really amazing to me, the kind of thought that goes into these things, because it seems to me that even taking one of the directional bars and moving it in 15 degrees could completely change the characteristic of the tire.
It does a lot, especially with the scrubs that we're working with now. I know that if I turn them around backwards, like at our track, I have more forward bite traction than running them the traditional way, the directional way that they're supposed to be ran. I turn them around backwards, and it seems like, maybe it's just me, but it seems like I get a little bit more steering out of them at our track. Maybe it wouldn't be the same at a different track. I like it that way.
Right,
You know?
right,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Calibers are the same way. You can run them reverse as well, and it probably makes it a little looser than such a high bite.
Well, that is interesting.
Yeah,
Tricks of the trade.
Calibers are definitely directional. I've mounted up a set backwards a couple times.
Do you find yourself doing that at all, Dane? You'll take a pair of
I
these
don't
tires and try changing them around a little bit, see what works, or do you just stick with the tried and true method?
A lot of the times I stick with the tried and true method, just because I'm used to running it, as is. But there are times where I'll clip a pin out or two here and there, or try the different rotation of the tires at a different track, like Shane was saying, with the directional maybe of the fronts or the calibers or something. And you do that just to kind of have peace of mind and know what the tire does on every different surface and every track condition that's possibly out there. And it helps just to understand too when people are coming up and asking you, hey, if I do this, what will it do? Or should I try this or should I not? And I just want to have the answers for them and be able to provide the best feedback, so they get the best experience out of their tires as well.
Well, that's definitely what puts Proline on the cutting edge there of the tires. Now, this question is kind of in relation to your team drivers and them testing tires. It's something that I had been thinking about, but when a specific tire is being tested, are the team drivers required to race at events that have that require that kind of tread compound or pattern? If you're working on a tire for loose loamy dirt and there's two races coming up, one of which is a loose loamy dirt track and the other one's a clay track, are you more prone to send them to the one that you're testing that tire on, or does it not matter?
No, absolutely. I mean, what we usually do is, as far as testing, initially when we're testing stuff, we'll pick the track that we know the tire is designed for and the compound, So we'll say, hey, we're going to go to such and such track because we know this is the tread pattern, this is the compound, and we want it to work on this surface. So, we'll go hit up that track for a day and test there. And then, a lot of the times, a lot of these guys are racing the next weekend or the weekend after that at one of the series races or whatever it may be. And, yeah, we'll allow them to, go out that same weekend and run them and try them and see what the feedback is as well. When something's brand new, we kind of keep it on, a low profile, obviously, just to make sure it works and get the testing stages done. And then after that, a lot of these guys, we'll see the guys running some of the newer stuff at the track that they can't quite get their hands on just yet. But, we definitely pick the track for the tread pattern and, the material that we want to use for sure.
That was a good question, Eric, because I was doubting your ability on that question. I didn't know how Daniel would react to that.
Well, I'm glad I asked it.
I know for a fact, like for myself, I don't really want to try something new and different at a big race that I'm going to. I don't want to just instantly change everything that I've known for the new stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I know probably a lot of the team drivers, they're not going to just want to change everything and rely everything on that specific tire that maybe is new to the market and nobody knows about it yet. But I know that Proline's on top of everything, and I would probably be comfortable with running whatever they told me to run.
Right,
so,
it would work.
Definitely. And and if Daniel said, "Hey, run this thing because it's going to do good," I'm going to run it.
Yeah, as a racer too, you get into your comfort level and you kind of know what works for you. And the more you get to the different tracks, you have an understanding of what you're already going to use when you get there. And that's the beauty of having like the series races, because you're able to go to multiple tracks each year and you have a general idea of what you're using before you even get there, so you can already have them mounted up and ready to go.
Now, I'm not completely sure about this, so I think who better to ask. When you're testing these tires at the track, and I know you had said that, sometimes you're testing tires or running tires that other people can't get, are there roar restrictions or anything against that? Or can you run a tire that isn't out to the public yet? Or
not on the list?
Not on the list, yeah. Are you able to do that? How does that work?
Yeah, they have guidelines, and some of them are a little unclear still. They definitely say that you're supposed to have them available to the public, and the way we combat that is we actually will make extras for that actual race, and we'll take them and we'll sell them at the track to the guys so they're able to purchase them. And obviously we don't do that if there's a hobby shop on site that's going to affect their sales, because we don't want to operate that way and we don't want to take away from the shop. But we definitely make it available to the other customers, and that way we are allowed to actually use the tire at the event. And most of the other races that they test at are just, kind of like the series races and stuff where they kind of follow the road rules, but they're not, 100% on like
Super
the tire
stringent on them.
specifics or there's, it's provisional. So
Now, what? I know this is probably tricks of the trade here, but when you're testing a tire and you don't necessarily want your competition to know that you're working on something new, what are a couple of the tricks of the trade that you can let loose on to keep those secret?
What I've seen is no names on them. So that's one thing that I've seen personally. Is a lot of tire companies, they won't put the name on the tire, or they won't put what brand it is or whatever. It's just a blank piece of rubber with the tread on it.
Is that something they do, Dana, or is that just when they're in prototype, the prototype mold, they just don't slap the name of the tire and the branding on it?
Yeah, without going into too much crazy detail on that, yeah, I mean, basically, the way it starts out is that's pretty much, like the final production samples, of the actual mold itself. So you don't necessarily hide it by not putting logos on it. You pick tracks where the people there, you can get in and use the track during the week when there's not a lot of people around. You just try to keep a low profile. And obviously, it's not the world's biggest secret, like a nuclear bomb or something like that. But, for us, it's important that, the competition doesn't know what we're doing 24/7. And, we just try to keep it as low profile as possible, and then it's in when it's ready. It starts to show up at the track, and the guys start using it, and, we go from there. So. Right.
Well, hey, that was an awesome answer. I do appreciate that. We have another caller. Ty, you're on the air. What's going on?
Yes, I just got a quick question. If you could explain the purpose of cutting holes in tires, I'd like to have him get into that, and I'll sit back and listen and hear what he has to say.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Daniel.
Yeah, sorry. What we do is, the ventilation of the tires is pretty important now, especially with the closed-cell foam, because closed-cell foam doesn't breathe kind of like the old foam did back in the day, which was more of like a sponge-type foam. And the reason you actually put the holes now in the tire, and a lot of the guys don't do it in the rims so much anymore, is to allow, obviously, the air to escape. It allows for the cushion, so when your car doesn't feel like it bounces as much when you land. Another reason we do the hole in the tires now is when you actually accelerate and any type of dirt or water or any debris like that actually gets inside the wheel and the foam and all that stuff now, well, as you accelerate, it's going to basically expel itself from the tire through the holes. So at the same time, it's helping keeping the internals clear. So that's why we do the venting on that. And then, like I said, a lot of the times now we won't even use the holes in the wheels. We'll plug them off and just run the holes in the actual tire itself.
Now, one thing that I've seen, and I tell people this at the shop, because a lot of their wheels that they're purchasing, they do still have the holes on them, and they don't necessarily know, so they leave them uncovered, and then they put on their tires without poking holes, and the next thing you know, it looks like a semi-inflatable, and it's bouncing down the straightaway. So you tell them you got to cut a hole in your tire. That way the air has a place to get out so your tire stays true. Do you recommend that if any of these wheels have holes in them, Daniel, to tape those up and just poke holes only in the tires?
Yeah, it really depends on surface. A lot of the indoor tracks and guys that are run on street and stuff like that, they don't have the issue with the sand and the dirt and all that stuff. But if you're definitely running off-road a lot and you're under conditions where there's a lot of loose dirt and a lot of debris that can get in the tires, yeah, it's recommended, and that's why with our tire packaging and stuff like that, we actually include the decals in there that you can use to just overplug the hole, and it says maybe the compound or the left front or right front, and so yeah, it's definitely recommended to try to keep as much dirt and water and stuff out of the actual foam and the inside area.
I've noticed a huge difference without having holes in the tire before, especially when I first started. I didn't know to put holes in like an 8-scale buggy tire. And I've noticed huge difference, huge improvements of running a hole in the tire because it doesn't get the expansion as a tire with no hole. And lately, it just seems like I have to have holes in all the tires that I run, even in 10-scale.
Yeah, once you get used to it.
Even two-wheel buggy, even like on the front tires. And it just seems like it adds to the help make the suspension work. It makes everything come into play. And then lately we saw it today at our local track. Kid comes in, running an SE10, mounted up some tires, didn't have any holes in them, and I don't believe that those rims had holes in them either.
No.
And so it had nowhere to escape, and the thing ballooned up like it was double the size of the other tire.
Yeah, it was bouncing
and he
down
says,
the straightaway.
He's like, what's going on with this thing? Why is it like that? And we're like, oh, you didn't put holes in it? He said, you put holes in tires?
Matter of fact, that was a pair of the M3 V2 Suburbs for short course that he put on. And that's one of the main tires we run out there at the Vegas RC Raceway, Daniel. And it hooks up great out there. But a lot of those guys don't poke holes in it. Now, what would you recommend to poke a hole in the tire? I know I use a little sprinkler reamer that people pick on me about.
I make fun of you about that so much. A leather punch is my best option. I don't know. I think Daniel uses probably the same thing. I mean,
yeah, we all use leather punches.
Yeah,
they're really inexpensive and it's super easy to use.
And
you
have
multiple hole sizes.
Yeah, you can dial in what size hole you want to do, and usually 10 scale is a little bit smaller than 8 scale and stuff like that.
Now, what's a good size hole, and does it need to be beveled? Does that leather punch, does it bevel, like countersink the hole, or is it just a straight punch through?
It's a pretty much straight punch through, I believe.
Yeah, it's more or less a straight punch. What you got to remember is when rubber expands, it has a tendency to stretch, and you definitely don't want to cut it with like a pair of scissors or something and have one little area where there's kind of a tear in the rubber, because then there's obviously a chance of the tire itself.
We've seen people do that before. They cut it with an X-Acto knife or something, and then the thing starts coming off the rim. Just because
scooping up stuff.
It's just they didn't know. They cut it the wrong way, or it peeled off, and they didn't know just to put a standard like leather punch hole in it.
Right.
Now, kind of sticking with this question here, Dan, and I think Ty hopped off the phone, so he just had his answer question or off the air there.
Okay.
So my question is this: with the closed cell foams, I hear a lot of people that say my foams are dead, and I just put these tires on. My tires aren't worn out, and my foams, my closed cell foams, feel like they've given up the ghost. How long do these closed cell foams last, Daniel?
It really depends on the conditions. Like I said, when you get a lot of sand involved and water and stuff like that, foam definitely gets affected by that. You could throw a Nerf football in the pool and it's going to soak up water, and 2 days later it's going to fall apart. Water is definitely kind of the enemy of the foam. And a lot of sandy conditions and stuff like that. If you don't have the ventilation in the tire to get all that stuff out, then over time it will break down the foam. But I know Ty's been running the closed cell foam in his Truggy, and I think he said this is the fourth set of tires he's on the same set of foam.
I know that a lot of people run the same foams. They'll cut like a used set of tires. They'll cut just the foam out and reuse it because it's not as stiff as it was when it was new, and they like that feel better because it helps add with the suspension and everything else. And I also noticed more of the older foam, the regular white stuff, not closed cell. I know that stuff would break down in any tire.
Right.
And now with the new closed cell foams out, especially Proline's closed cell foam, I've never had a problem. I still have a set of tires that I run for practice, and it probably has 100 hours on, 50 hours on the set of tires that I have.
Right.
And they're starting to get a little softer now, but the closed cell hold up really well.
Now, and I think that when you might see that problem the most is with the newer people.
I think they wash their tires too much, and then if they have holes in them, the water gets in it, and they don't realize how much they're soaking them. I see them dumping them in the buckets and stuff like that, and I'm like, what are you doing? You're ruining your tires. All you need is a little bit of water, and you brush it right off, and it comes.
Now,
what
is the proper cleaning procedure for the Proline tires?
That's a good question,
Daniel. So for the newer people, maybe help them out.
The best thing to use, obviously, it just depends on the track you run. If you want to wash your tires frequently, it's not going to harm them. But what you should do is you should actually have the back side of the rim facing down, the tire at an angle. So when you're brushing downwards. You're not brushing basically the water into the hole. You're brushing it away from it. A wire brush is always a good trick to avoid having to mess with water a lot. And a little water and simple green goes a long way, and definitely clean it up. But you definitely got to be careful to try to keep as much water as possible out of there, and then to preserve the life of the foam. And the downward method's always been great. And then like Shane said, you definitely see some guys at the track that they dunk their tires, or they soak their whole car after a race in water, and it's not necessarily the proper procedure, but the only way for a new guy to learn is, to educate them and try to help them, and that's why we include instructions on our website and instructions with the packaging, the tires and whatnot. And we do encourage everybody to just to take a few minutes and read the instructions. And we have a great customer service department, so if there's ever a problem, they're more than welcome to call in. We'll help them out as much as we can.
I've seen a lot of people put Simple Green on their rubber. Do you think, in your personal opinion, that Simple Green helps with the stickiness of the rubber, or does it hurt it?
Initially, it puts a little bit of a sticky film on the rubber, but it doesn't actually penetrate very much into the actual rubber itself. So it's kind of like a false impression. It's got stickiness to it initially, but it really does wear off relatively quickly.
Yeah.
It's not like you would be using like the zip grip or buggy grip or soaking the tire in WD-40 or what a lot of the other stuff these guys have been doing. So
now does that like WD-40 and stuff like that, does that loosen up, make it softer, or does it hurt the tire?
It definitely accelerates the wear of the tire, because you're softening up the rubber and you're kind of breaking down the actual rubber material itself. So it definitely doesn't extend the life of the tire at all.
You're changing the compound.
Yeah, you're doing it basically, for the performance aspect
Sure.
of it, and that's how we used to do it back in the day. We used to run slicks, and we'd honestly take a brand new set of tires, mount them, go over to a belt sander, grind all the pins off of them, and soak them in zip grip, and you'd run them, and that's how you did things. And but it definitely accelerates the wear of the rubber for sure.
Wow, well that's awesome. Lots of people, they're always trying new things at the track, and I'm sure some people are going to have some WD-40 at the track tomorrow. That's for sure. Now, I
definitely don't recommend it.
No,
it's been used.
Yeah, you're going to just ruin what Proline has created.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
sometimes
don't mess with a good thing. If it works, leave it alone.
Well, I think everyone here understands that if someone thinks they're going to pick up a 10th, they'll wrap their dog around the tire. They don't care. Now,
or if they see somebody else doing it, they're going to try it, of course.
Absolutely. Now, Daniel, with other tire companies really pushing hard on the racing and development, what's Proline doing to remain in the industry, just the powerhouse in race tires right now? What are you guys doing to stay on the cutting edge?
Competition's good for business, and we keep a close eye on what everybody's doing, and obviously we're at every race and a lot of the shows, and we talk to a lot of people, so we have a good idea of what other companies are working on, and like I said, we've got a strong team here that really believes in advancing our product and moving forward, and currently right now we're actually working on a couple new tires. I can't go into full details on them, but we're working on some 8-scale stuff, and I just picked up another driver, and I hope he's going to help out really well too. And this is a world exclusive here. That's Kyle McBride from Australia.
Oh, wonderful!
Nice.
He just signed with Proline yesterday.
Well, that's great. Congratulations.
So we're picking up some new guys and picking up some steam. And like I said, we got Ty, who's going to be working here for a little while, helping out. And like I said, Richard Saxton, Donnie Rodriguez, and all these guys, they're working really hard to help provide feedback from different locations. And there's going to be a lot of new stuff coming on the horizon, not only for 8-scale, but we've got a lot of new short course stuff that we're looking at. And the thing is to understand is we don't just only do race tires. We do bodies, we do accessories, we do short course stuff, and
right.
We have a broad range of product, and we try to cover each one of them equally. And our race guys are just as important as our backyard bashers.
Yeah, I personally think that Proline is at the top of the chart when it comes to bodies, and they do everything. There's on-road, off-road, tires. Wings, and 10-scale buggy wings. They do so much stuff. And I don't think anybody else in the market is actually at the top of their game like Proline is.
I would tend to agree.
Daniel, for the new listeners, can you explain what makes a tire more adventurous over another? Let me reword this.
Here, I'll pick it up for
you.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
We got you. Everyone bobbles once in a while.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just maybe you can explain to people what makes a tire more advantageous over another in different terrains. Why would a person use pins over something as opposed to a suburb or something like that?
Again, it plays into the track surface. A lot of these tracks that we go to, maybe during the weeks when they race or they club race, the track surface isn't the same as it would be at a big race because you don't have as many cars running, as much maintenance or whatnot. So, picking the tire and the compound and everything really goes into what the track surface is doing. If you got a track that's pretty loose and there's a lot of top loam, it gets really choppy, and you definitely revert back to kind of a larger pin, and then you get on some of these tracks that they're more blue grooved and they don't really get very much loose stuff on them. They don't break up very much, and then you can run a smaller pin. And then obviously the compound variation, it's determined by the wear factor of the track and the temperature. Definitely a softer tire when it's really hot out becomes even softer. So you might have to revert to a medium compound or a harder compound. So it's definitely you play it by ear. And like I said, we've been to a lot of these tracks, so we kind of know what the weather's going to do, but you always prepare because you never know if a rainstorm's going to come in or whatnot. So the main thing is just to be prepared and have everything possible on hand, and then just make the best decision you can at the track when you're there.
Now, moving on with the same part of this question here, can using the correct pattern with the wrong compound on a track, can that be felt in comparison to just using the wrong kind of tire? And how might a newer person know?
Yeah, absolutely. You can definitely tell. If you're running a really hard tire in a specific tread pattern, and that it's really cold out and the track's loose, then it's probably not going to hook up as well as a softer tire would. And a lot of that too is you get some customers that they're really worried about the wear, so the harder compound's going to last a little bit longer, but might not give them the best performance. But you definitely you got to play it by ear at the track you're at. You'll definitely a softer tire in most conditions will work better. But like I said, there is the factor of the wear of the track, the temperature. And like I said, go see what the guys are running at the time. The fast guys or whoever's fast at your local track. Find out what they're using and the compounds they're using, and it'll give you a general idea of kind of where you should head.
Now, kind of stemming off of this, and that was a very wonderful answer, by the way. That was far more detailed than I was planning on. So how would the person know, though, a new person, given, I know, said check with the fast guy and that kind of stuff, but would they feel? Is there a way to feel that your tire you're using is right, but the compound is wrong, as in opposed to just using someone's out on a clay track, a flat clay track using calibers or hole shots?
Full calibers.
How would they feel a difference? What would they notice?
Yeah, you're going to notice the way the car accelerates, the way the car corners, just overall handling. The wrong tire definitely can make your car have less steering, less forward bite. A high bite tire on a track, could make it pretty hard to drive. It can make it too aggressive, too much steering, to where it almost wants to flip over all the time. And the only real good way for somebody to determine, what works best for their driving style and everything is just a little bit of trial and error.
Yeah, testing.
And
testing.
There's definitely pros and cons to every tire, and it's definitely what your comfort level is as far as that if you want too much traction or if you want just enough traction or if you want your car to feel a little bit loose. That's kind of the beauty of having the different tread patterns and the compounds, is you can kind of tune it to your own driving style and the track conditions.
Right, absolutely.
Now, I know Proline makes more than just tires, from their shocks to the Slash Pro Track kit and the AE Hex conversions. What catches the eye of Proline and makes them want to develop a new component?
Like I said, we're all involved in RC. We're all on websites all day long, and we're at the tracks, and we go to shows, and we talk to customers, and we get hobby shops that call in, customers that call in. So you get an idea of right then what the general public and people are looking for, and then obviously you look at the new hot items, the new cars that are coming out, and what people are using and running, and then you say, hey, maybe this would be better, or maybe this truck needs hexes. Everybody's tired of these cross pins stripping out.
Yes.
And you just look at the product that's on the market at the time, and you determine, hey, this would be something that I think everybody can use, and from there you just kind of go with it.
I know you can't release a whole lot of information, but what exciting new parts can we see coming out on the market soon?
As I kind of already mentioned, we're definitely working on some new 8-scale tread patterns.
Okay.
Without going to the actual designs of them, we've got some wheels, obviously for short course, some wheels for 2-wheel drive buggies and stuff like that. We'll be incorporating kind of like the hex systems in them, and then. There's a couple other projects. Obviously bodies are.
Yeah, I was going to say, any new
ongoing
bodies
thing.
coming out? Because I know I have the Mugen Eco, and I don't have a body for that thing except for the Mugen body for that. And I know that it's a pretty popular car. And just my personal question, I didn't know if everybody else was concerned about it, but do you guys plan on making a body for that car?
Yeah, we actually. I've been in contact with Chris over at Mugen, and hopefully he'll. I sent him an email requesting just to borrow a car, so hopefully he'll get me one down here so we can use it. And then, there's definite interest in the 8-scale electric market because it's definitely come a long way, and it's picking up steam more and more every time I go to the track. So. We're looking at all those electric bodies right now, and there should be some new stuff here on the horizon pretty soon.
I know just with the short course, with the new Flowtech body, that thing is amazing.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's changed the way that short course handles. Like, that thing is just ridiculously amazing. And at first I ran it without the holes cut out because I didn't want to destroy my $100 paint job or whatever, and and then I cut it all out, and I noticed such an improvement with the way the truck handles, the way it flies through the air.
Like a buggy.
It's insane, and I didn't realize how much
airflow played a part.
I didn't know, and now with the new development of that, I'm sure there's more stuff on the starting grid for that line of short course stuff.
Yeah, we've got some other designs that we're going to incorporate kind of the Flowtech into. We're just, some of the stuff requires licensing, and, we're just kind of working on that right now. And hopefully it'll all pan out, and we'll have a couple new bodies here within the next month or so. And, definitely iHobby's a big show coming up in 2 weeks, and we're definitely going to unveil a couple new projects there. So, make sure you check those out for sure. And then some guys will be pleasantly surprised with some of the new stuff coming out.
Very exciting. And I know we have just a couple more minutes here with Daniel, so I want to ask you one last question and see what you think. Where do you see the sport heading in the next 5 years, and what are some of the niche markets that Proline plans to keep an eye on?
Obviously short course right now is a real big industry, and it's being pumped up obviously by like the Lucas Off-Road Series and I think it was the Traxxas Torque Series that they were running. So that's definitely a step in the right direction for enticing people into the hobby and showing them how fun RC is, and it's definitely a cheaper alternative to buying a $100,000 sandrail and you don't have the worry factor of getting hurt, and I definitely see it progressing. We go to more and more races, and you see new faces, and it's a good thing. And you hear more and more new hobby shops opening up and stuff like that. And I honest to God, I hope it progresses forward, and I hope we can get this thing on, going on ESPN or something. Because you look at it,
that was my next question. Was do you think it's going to make it onto TV here soon? Because I think it's really close to just blowing up the whole scene.
I don't see why not, because you look at some of the other stuff that's on TV right now, and I'd much rather watch RC cars than a bunch of guys.
I would too. I was watching hillbilly hand fishing, and that was no good. I'd much rather watch RC cars.
RC's much better than noodling. Yeah. Well, hey Daniel, we definitely want to thank you for the interview. It was wonderful.
That's awesome, Daniel.
That was great. We really, really appreciate it. And again, that was Daniel Adams with Proline there, and I believe their website's ProlineRacing.com. And we have just a couple minutes here, so before we head off, I wanted to touch on a couple of things. First off is preparation for Havasu. After our show next Tuesday, Shane's going to be heading right out to set up the track for Battle of the Beach.
That's one of Proline's races.
Proline's big race.
I'm definitely going to be working on that. Me and Jason Miller are coming out. He just sent me a track design, and I'm going to send him one probably tonight.
Awesome.
And we're going to go over a couple of things, and we're going to make it really fun and exciting for everybody. I think everybody's going to love it. And I heard some stuff, people saying, well, the 8 scale is going to ruin the track for the 10 scale stuff.
It stays nice.
Not so much. This track, it packs really well. I don't think we're going to have a problem with that at all.
Right. Well, that's,
and then
it's
whatever
good.
else Daniel has to represent. And I don't know what else you want to throw out there, Daniel.
No, he's
he's
we already lost. Yeah, he's listening
gone.
to the rest of the show.
Awesome.
Real quick, Wednesday the 12th at the Vegas RC Raceway, 3420 North Rancho, we're having the Battle at the Beach prep race. And that's for all the guys getting ready to head out there to the Havasu race for the 14th, 15th, and 16th. So come on down to Vegas RC Raceway Wednesday at 4:30 for the prep race.
Yeah, and thank you for
tuning in. Yeah, we're definitely going to catch you guys next Tuesday.
Yep.
My name is Jeffrey Burke, and I'm the host of the Staying Healthy Show here on KLAV. The Staying Healthy Show is now on KLAV 10 times per week. 10 times for you to hear the best guest in the industry and learn about the best nutritional products available for your good health. You can hear my show weekday mornings at 8 and a new show again at 5. Both shows are drive time for your listening pleasure. The show is sponsored by Stay Healthy Health Food Store, located at 840 South Rancho Drive in the Rancho Town and Country Center on the northwest corner of Charleston and Rancho. The hours of the store are Monday through Friday from 9 to 7 p.m., Saturdays 9 to 6, and closed on Sundays. Wayne Rudolph built his store with 3 principles in mind: great products and selection, a knowledgeable staff, and memorable service every time you visit his store. Please tune into the Staying Healthy Show 10 times per week here on KLAV. I'm looking forward to chatting with all of you and helping you get healthy, be healthy, and stay healthy.
Hi, this is Jim Ferris from PerfectVariableAnnuity.com. Please join me and Stan the Annuity Man every Wednesday at 4 p.m. where you can finally get the truth about annuities. Whether you already own an annuity or are just considering looking at one, join Stan the Annuity Man and myself, Jim Ferris of Perfect Variable Annuity, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. for an hour of clear, transparent, straightforward talk about the world of annuities right here on KLAV, the talk of Las Vegas.
Hi, this is Vandana Chima of Exit Realty Chima Group. Join Brandon Roberts and I every Thursday at 11 a.m. on KLAV for our show, Real Estate Exposed, the Exit Realty radio show, where we discuss all things real estate, including foreclosures, short sales, loan modification, credit restoration, how to buy at the auction, and much, much more. Listen every Thursday at 11 a.m. to the Real Estate Exposed show on KLAV 1230 a.m.
Hi, I'm Fred Green, owner of the Brill Music Academy. Join me every Friday at 11 a.m. for our show, Music is for Everybody. On our show, you will learn some interesting things about music, information about famous composers, knowledge on all musical instruments, and how to keep the music and arts industry growing in Las Vegas. We will have some of our instructors talk about their love for music during the show. So whether it's piano, guitar, drums, brass, woodwind, strings, or vocals, everything will be covered because music is for everybody.
Hello there, I'm Josie Harrison, your host of Oras ng Ligaya, which means an hour of happiness, your new talk show with music, live interviews, and community service here at KLAV 1230 a.m. every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 12 noon. Join me live, let me hear from you, share with me what's in your mind. Josie Harrison of Oras ng Ligaya talk show every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 12 noon.
I'm Don Randalls. I'm an attorney in Las Vegas. My show, The Dawn of Law, on KLAV Monday at 1 p.m. I'll talk about controversial subjects such as immigration, bankruptcy, criminal law, and personal injury. Join me, Dawn of Law, every Monday at 1 p.m. on KLAV.
Yeehaw! Howdy, cowboys and cowgirls. This is Jackie Fitzgerald, host of the brand new Sagebrush Ranch Wild Wild West radio show. Join me every Tuesday at 9 a.m. We'll be roping in some great historical stories of the old Wild Wild West in Nevada and informative tidbits about the horse industry for the horse industry. There's a roundup of interesting, exciting, and fun guests on the show each week. Join us every Tuesday at 9 a.m. for the Sagebrush Ranch Wild Wild West radio show.
My name's Chris, and I'm a bug guy.
My name is Mike, and I too am a bug guy.
Join us every Tuesday at 3 p.m. for our show, What's Bugging Ya?
Now we know spiders, scorpions, and cockroaches may not be your favorite thing to talk about, but we know what's crawling around your house, and you need to know how to protect you and your family from these home invaders.
You won't believe some of the things we have found in Vegas homes and businesses, and we're going to share these stories with you live on the radio.
And we'll give you the information that some of the other pest control companies don't want you to know.
Preventive pest control is the best in the business, and we know bugs. So be sure to listen in every Tuesday at 3 p.m. for What's Bugging Ya.
Oh, and be sure to check under the bed.
Preventive Pest Control's What's Bugging Ya? Tuesday afternoon. Love us on radio. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. We are KLAV 1230 AM.
You're listening to KLAV Las Vegas.